Welcome, I am Emir, and let's look back in hindsight. In today's episode of German Month, we look at another German movie. Figures. Goodbye Lenin became popular outside Germany, but the movie we'll be talking about today is more well known, judging by the sheer number of parodies. Oh, the parodies! We'll talk about those parodies someday, but today, I want to focus on this question. How do you make a terrible person human without being sympathetic to them? Because when I watch the movie, when I see how his power and sanity crumble, and how everyone flees like rats in a sinking ship, except for his most loyal henchmen and enablers, those terms will make sense later. I don't pity him. I don't pity the loser. Yes, he was a loser. His 1,000-year Reich lost World War II, a war which he began. Remember, his regime, with him on top, but not just him, was responsible for the murder of millions, based on an ideology that had no basis in reality. Humanity is just one race. No, quote, race, unquote, is superior nor inferior over another. Join me as we take on der Untergang, downfall, in English, and answer that question. How do you humanize Adolf Hitler without making him sympathetic? And what are the consequences? The movie focuses on the last 10 days of Nazi Germany, mostly in Berlin and in the Führerbunker, where Hitler chose to spend his last few days. Or, as Speer in the movie put it, quote, "You should be on stage when the curtain falls," end quote. Subtitles, obviously. I will not talk about the plot in much detail, or its historical accuracy, except when it is relevant, connected to my question. There are other videos on that. Or, check out the movie. Downfall marked an important first in the depiction of Hitler in popular culture. For the first time, he was played by a German-speaking actor, Bruno Ganz, who was Swiss, not German. To prepare for the role, he studied a 5-minute tape recorded in Finland in 1942, secretly, in which Hitler was speaking normally and not in his screaming, booming voice when giving a speech. Ganz also watched a newsreel showing Hitler giving medals to the Hitler Youth and observed people suffering from Parkinson's disease confined in a hospital. According to Ganz, quote, "There was no strategy in the film to say, quote, 'Let's show a new Hitler,' unquote. I just wanted to show him as the evidence and the testimony of witnesses suggest. Witnesses say he was kind to dogs, charming to women, nice to children, but then he could just say, quote, 'Let's kill 5,000 people,' unquote. In the film, when he and his generals are discussing military problems, one says to him, quote, 'What about the 100,000 young German officers on the Eastern Front? They are going to die,' unquote. He says, quote, 'But they are born to die,' unquote. He was completely pitiless, end quote. Of course, it's not enough to look at how the actor portrayed the role. We must also look at how the role was written and how the director instructed the actor to, well, act. Hello, Captain Obvious. Oliver Hirschspiegel, initially hesitated to direct downfall, but he did so to answer the question of how Germans, quote, could have plumbed such depths, unquote. I think that means how Germans could have gone so low, allowing the Nazis to take and consolidate power. Spoilers, Downfall does not discuss this question. So, if you're interested, I recommend Time Ghost Histories Between Two Wars. I'm proud of myself. Bathrick said, citing the interview with the director on the Downfall DVD, quote, Hirschspiegel described his collaboration with the actor as that of, quote, two historians, filing away at the nuances, open bracket, of the role, close bracket, unquote. One doesn't see guns, only Hitler. Quote, there is no danger in this authenticity because we are not inventing anything. I don't show anything that he didn't do. Everything is confirmed, verbrieft. Everything is historically documented. Everything is absolutely authentic. End quote. According to Boswell, quote, in interviews, Hirschspiegel emphasized the connection to historical sources, such as those by Fest and Junge, end quote. Fest wrote Inside Hitler's Bunker, The Last Day of the Third Reich, which inspired writer and producer Bernd Eichinger to make Downfall. Fest's book is a basis for the movie. Meanwhile, Junge is Trodel Junge, Hitler's secretary, and whose point of view the audience follows. Junge's Until the Final Hour is also a basis for the movie. In an interview on the New York Times, Eichinger stated, quote, this whole debate over whether we are allowed to show Hitler as a human being is wrong. Of course he was a human being. You have to make clear to people that he was a human being. And that's the dangerous thing. Unquote. And, quote, if you have a trauma like this, you need a generation to get a perspective on it. My generation is now the same age as Hitler was in 1945. End quote. Eichinger seems to be alluding to a generation gap. In an interview cited by Bathrick, Eichinger was more forceful. Quote, in an interview with Schumacher for the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, I may be mispronouncing these words. Please correct me. Eichinger was outspoken in his criticism of a particular attitude to history that he associated with the student movement generation. I despise many of these so-called 68ers because of their dishonesty. Unquote. The 68 generation refers to the children of those who fought in World War II. Anyway, quote, all they ever offered were rehashed political slogans. Nothing useful ever came of it at all. Moralizing should be left out of it. Moralizing never did anyone any good at all. Morality is important for social behavior to the extent that one is moved to respect one's fellow human beings. End quote. What does this mean? It means that to portray Adolf Hitler, Gans, director Hirschspiegel, and writer and producer Eichinger stuck to facts, to objectivity. There's no caricature of Hitler, nor any attempt to judge him. So, Hitler becomes human, but he's not sympathetic. all his sides are shown. Ironically, even if Eichinger hated moralizing, his movie seems to give out a moral message that all of us, any human, can become a terrible person, a monster, a mass murderer. Hannah Arendt called it, quote, the banality of evil, unquote. What does all this mean? Something amazing, I guess? No, it's not amazing. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong with that. Or maybe there is nothing wrong with that. I can stop here, but the articles I cited pointed to a greater problem in Downfall. The movie seems to absolve everyone else of responsibility. And that's the not so amazing part. It's not amazing at all. Everyone else are, as Boswell puts it, quote, not only normalized, they are positively glowing specimens of humanity. And, quote, Boswell mentions Junge, Weidling, Monke, Speer, and Schenk. I'd include Hermann Fegelein, who is portrayed in the Downfall parodies as an antics master, a trickster, a joker. I'd also include Keitel and Jodl, both convicted in Nuremberg, and also everyone else in a position of power. Remember what I said earlier? Hitler's regime, with him on top, but not just him. Batrick cautions, quote, the fairly clear distinction in the film between absolute evil, Hitler, along with Magda and Joseph Goebbels, and the seemingly none or not so evil others, not only prevents any understanding of the gray zone of the Nazi everyday, but also, as the story progresses, makes most of the followers, whether bystanders, fellow travelers, SS soldiers, generals, assistants, or ministers of the Reich, into war victims. As has already been mentioned, the filmmakers claim a neutrality for themselves that they cannot defend through either their own rhetoric or their aesthetic practice. Though Eichinger and Hirschspiegel state that they wanted to make a film that passed, quote, no judgment, unquote, and simply stuck to the historical facts, their rhetoric reveals how much the current historico-political climate influenced the Downfall project, unquote. And, quote, these manifestos make clear the extent to which their ostensible objectivity actually goes hand in hand with quite concrete value judgments. Allegedly, this film had no point of view, had no perspective, had no goals, other than to overcome cinematically the guilt and shame propagated by the 1968 generation. And all in the name of restoring a sense of national self-confidence. And, quote, that last line, quote, restoring a sense of national self-confidence, unquote, implies a take that not only against the 1968 generation. Downfall seems to be a reaction to the Allies' imposition of a duty to remember on the German people. This makes Downfall have something in common with calls by the German far right to tone down responsibility for the Holocaust. Who knows? Maybe Alternative for Germany was inspired by this movie. Personally, I don't watch this movie and think that Junge, Schenk, Monke, Weidling, Fegelein, Jodl, Keitel, and everyone else is innocent, and the blame should be on Hitler and Goebbels and their inner circle alone. Remember what I said earlier? Henchmen and enablers. As John Stuart Mill said, Quote, bad men need nothing more to compass their ends than that good men should look on and do nothing. End quote. Or, according to that version attributed to Edmund Burke, the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. They're not innocent. They're not victims. I have no pity for them. And I think I know why I don't have sympathy for them. It's because I know their backstories. I know the motivations behind their memoirs to rationalize and exculpate, excuse themselves. I end with this point. Don't just take a dramatization as objective fact, no matter how objective the director, the writer, and the actors claim it to be. Read different sources, watch different documentaries, and have a critical mind. There's no such thing as a neutral depiction of the past. This is also an eye-opener to documentary makers and to filmmakers. There's no such thing as no moral judgments. Those are unavoidable. Let's not pretend. Please subscribe and ring the bell to be instantly notified of Balik Tanaw /In Hindsight episodes. Please like and share this video and all my videos across social media. Do check out all of my other videos and comment. Please support the show on paypal.me/Balik Tanaw, where you can give out any amount you want, or on Patreon, patreon.com/Balik Tanaw. Patrons on Patreon get early access to videos, get to see their names at the end of each video, and get to request reviews of a movie, an album, a song, a television show, or even on one-hit wonders. Or, at the very least, they get exclusive access to posts, which no one else can. Lastly, thank you to my sibling G-G Arts for the microphone I used for this video. She also designed my avatar. Check out her work on the links in the description. Thank you.